Hello, everybody. This is a story in part about two men, both flamboyant men, but otherwise very different in style, both of whom we sadly lost very suddenly earlier this year. One of them was a property developer client of mine, Kuldeep Dillon, also known as Colin, whose wonderful memorial event I attended recently. Colin was very well known and very well liked in the circles in which he moved, and he did have a brief 15 minutes of nationwide fame some years ago now. The other flamboyant man was better known to the wider public. He was the presenter and entertainer Paul O'Grady, who first gained fame as the drag performer and comedian Lily Savage. My 9 years as a young lawyer at Eversheds from 1994 to 2003 connects them. When I joined that illustrious firm as a newly qualified solicitor, the then head of property Adrian Bland, now at Shakespeare Martineau, with whom I was delighted to meet up at Kuldeep's memorial event the other week, had earmarked this young blood from London, Slade, for his new client, Kuldeep's company. And working for Kuldeep, for Colin, was an eye-opening experience. I had to smile at his son's eulogy at the memorial event when he recalled that his father was interested only in doing the deal rather than in the details of the deal. The details were to be left to others. And that philosophy can be quite a daunting prospect when you, as a young and inexperienced lawyer, are one of those others to whom those details, often never before encountered, were left. My early memories of Kuldeep were of being in rather fearful awe of him. He was one of those clients who was important enough to indulge in the then fairly common practice of getting his PA to make an external call to you before putting him through, and it always felt like time stood still for those few seconds after the phone rang and she announced, "I have Mr. Dillon for you." Colin in the 1990s was, I think, a throwback to the take no prisoners style of doing business that probably had its heyday in the 1980s, which is less common now, but which I think gave me the armoury not to worry too much about anything now, despite the anxiety I felt at the time. It was only yesterday I told some of my colleagues that it sometimes felt like I had the hide of a rhinoceros. If that's true, and actually my wife will say I can still be highly strung at times, I have Colin and others to thank for that. I should say Colin mellowed a lot with age, and I have a happy memory of listening to his life story over a quiet meal, celebrating a deal not long before the pandemic. Now, what does Paul O'Grady have to do with all of this? Well, he is a memory of Eversheds as well, and perhaps also a memory of a time mostly gone. The time when, before the 2008 crash and recession, significant sums were spent on client entertainment and indeed staff entertainment. Paul is an example of the latter, as every year the whole staff of the Birmingham office of Eversheds, and this was just the Birmingham office, were treated to lunch, dancing, and as the icing on the cake, a stand-up act from a well-known comedian at the biggest hall in Birmingham's ICC as part of the office's AGM. Paul O'Grady, as Lily Savage, was the first such turn, followed in subsequent years by Jack D, Julian Clary, and biggest of all, rehearsing for his Animals stand-up tour between two series of The Office, just before his career went truly stratospheric, Ricky Gervais. None of those gentlemen, however, went down as well as the only one of them to be invited back for a second time to collect the annual award for Friend of the Firm before another comedic stint of cutting four-letter word mockery of members of staff who usually deserved it, and that second invitee was Lily Savage. Despite the complexities and the madness of the present day, to an extent, we live and we do business in a world which is smaller than the one us oldies used to know. Kuldeep and Paul and pastimes now gone, I salute you.